Hello and welcome to the channel where we talk about all things card games and chill with friends. My name is Liam and today I want to show you how to improve your Nekomata Okayu Start Decks. Now if you are new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button, and if you enjoy this video, please let me know by hitting that like button. Check out my other socials, links down in the description, and if you want to support the channel, please consider hitting that join button and becoming a member. But let's jump straight in. So I've already made a video on how to improve your IMA start deck, releasing on the 17th of October for the English version of Hololive OCG. And to continue on with that series, we have two more decks that we need to cover. And today I'm going to be covering my Oshi, Okayu. Now again, like with the IMA deck profile, I want to do a massive thank you to Chocolate from Risky Holoka, where I was able to grab the fully improved version of this deck thanks to their Holo archive. If you want to see that document, all you've got to do is join the Hololive OCG global Discord server, and on the resource links you can find it all there to find out whatever you want regarding decks that exist within Hololive OCG. So make sure you go down below, check my description and leave a subscription over to them. Let's get into these profiles. So first of all, looking at the actual deck out of the box, whilst it gives you a decent variety of cards, and there are some cards in here that do come as 4-ofs, which are really good, looking at the collab debut, and also looking obviously the fact you get 4 copies of Nodoka, and you also get 4 copies of the Gravity event that basically looks for the gamers plus Louis plus La Plus. It's a decent deck. You also get some other nice cards in there. So you get 2 copies of Manechan, you get 2 copies of Penlight, Amazing PC, so that makes you my enemy in terms of like your staple cards of the deck. But overall, to make this deck somewhat playable, like more consistently playable, you do absolutely want to buy 2 copies of this deck and combine them together at the bare minimum. In terms of combining them, this is what I have managed to put together. And we obviously have to talk about the Oshi first of all. We are running the start deck Nekomata Okayu Oshi with 2 skills. The Oshi skill is just blue microphone, which gives during your turn, your blue center holomem gains plus 20 damage. And then also the SP Oshi skill for 1 holo power strike back is usable when your holomem deals damage to one of your opponent's back holomem, and you get to deal an additional 50 special damage to that back holomem, to the same one. It's basically exactly the same as Comet from the Suisei OSR from set 1. We know that effect is good. Obviously, it's only extremely good with Suisei because it's the Oshi skill and not the SP Oshi skill. So that's why in this it's reduced holo power requirement is only 1 rather than 2. But it is a once per game skill, not a once per turn skill. So that's the payoff for it. And the thing with these start deck Oshis, especially ignoring set 1 because that was a bit of a unique situation because those were actually OSRs or Oshi super rares. Going forward, set 2 to set 3 to set 4 and set 5, they are basically known as OCs, which are Oshi commons, and they are basically exactly the same format of cards as the Oshis that you saw in the start cheer set released in set 1. And let's be honest, if you are looking to play competitively, you are not going to be using these Oshis. However, for the sake of this video, I want to make sure that I shared a list that you have got to buy absolutely 0 cards from the booster set, combine 2 decks, and you have a somewhat functioning deck. Also, moving into the main deck, we start off with the debut Okayu. We run 8 copies of that card, 100 HP, 30 damage, single cheer at art. It's exactly the same stats as Iris from Promise, the first set. It is your generic vanilla unlimited debut. That's what it says on the tin. Nothing massively special, but you do have to run a decent number of these because 100 HP is a good HP to have, like as for a debut at least. And realistically, you want to be running enough debuts to actually make your deck viable. You want at least 13 to 14. So we do run 8 copies of this card. The next card we run 4 copies of the collab, the first collab effect Okayu with 70 HP, and a collab effect Pardon My Intrusion. If you have a center holomem with gamers as one of its tags, deal 10 special damage to your opponent's center holomem, and one of their back holomems. However, your opponent's life does not reduce even if those holomems or one of those or both of those holomems are down. This effect is kind of good. It gives you some extra damage output, and as we now learn from set 5, where Okayu got a actual Oshi and a more fleshed out deck, Okayu is all about damage spread, damage manipulation, and the more instances that you have where you are dealing special damage to your opponent's center and their back, the better it is. This card with the set 5 deck does become a 3 to 4 of in that deck. It's an extremely good card. I personally run it as 4 copies. So it's absolutely worth getting this if you want to build Okayu down the line and you like a good damage manipulation deck. 70 HP is a little squishy, but it's not as squishy as some of the other collab debuts that we've seen previously. Looking at the likes of Iris, which is only 50 HP, the Azki, which is only 60 HP. So it's a little beefier and less likely just to get one hit KO'd, and you can collab with this turn 1 without the worry of it going down unless your opponent commits a lot to their first turn. Yeah, this card is a decent card. It has a single blue cheer attack for 10 damage as well, which, sure, if you have to attack with this card, at least you have an option. The other collab effect, Okayu, with 80 HP, has the collab effect, want to go to school with me? You may reveal the top card of your deck, and if the card revealed is a debut or spot holomem, you send the top card of your cheer deck to this holomem, and then you return the revealed card to the bottom of the deck. So this is a pseudo cheer ramp, and it isn't terrible. It gives you some, I guess, well, top deck knowledge for a moment, which then goes to the bottom of the deck, so at least you know a card that's definitely in your deck and not potentially lost in holo power. And it gives you the option to potentially get a cheer ramp. This card is in here. You are running 30 holomems overall, so it has a decent chance to actually hit on the collab effect. It's not guaranteed, of course it isn't. With a full 50 card deck, which obviously by the time you collab with this, that won't be the case. You've basically got a 60% chance on average of actually getting a plus from this Okayu, and it's one of the best cheer ramps that the deck has from specifically the start deck only. I will spoiler, this card does get dropped with the fully built deck using cards from the booster set from set 2 and set 1. So it's fine if you're just piling 2 decks, but ultimately it will get dropped in the long run. It's got 1 art for 1 colorless cheer for 20 damage. There's not really much more to say about this card. Moving on to the first bloom, we have got the vanilla, the Daki art with 170 HP, which is a really good HP for a first bloom. This card will not go down easily. And then it's got 2 cheers, 1 for 30 damage for 1 colorless cheer, and then 1 for 50 damage with 1 blue cheer and 1 colorless requirement. Obviously in this deck we are running 20 blue cheers, we're not running any other colors, so the blue cheer requirement is kind of redundant. It's just get 2 cheers on this card, you get the attack, cool. But this card is a great card to, if you have to bloom onto your center and just keep a holomem alive for a turn. This card basically guarantees you in the vast majority of cases that this will not go down and will allow you to bloom into your second bloom. So we run this as 4 copies, honestly, purely because of the HP. We also run 2 copies of the other first Nekomata Okayu with no other like bloom or collab effect. 140 HP, so a little more squishier. 1 cheer attack for 30, which is exactly the same as the other one, and then a 2 cheer attack for 40, but it has the additional effect of you may archive 1 blue cheer from this holomem to deal 10 special damage to your opponent's center holomem and one of their back holomem. So it's ultimately doing 10 more damage than the card we just spoke about previously, because it's getting that extra 10 damage to the backstage, but it is doing, if you attack the center, 50 in one go, or it gives you opportunity to do 40 to the collab and 10 to the center. So it gives you a bit of damage versatility, but the 30 less HP is a fair bit of a detriment to this. So we are only running it as a 2 copy of, purely so that we're running enough firsts to basically support running the deck. The next card we run, we have the Idol outfit Okayu, 110 HP, so a lot more squishier. But the bloom effect is that you may send 1 cheer from your archive to your holomem with the gamer's tag. As you've already noticed, there are quite a few ways to archive cheer from your holomems to gain additional effects. Obviously, we've seen one of them so far. We are going to see 2 more cards that do that as well. No, 1 more card that's going to do that as well, sorry. And having access to cheers from your archive to get a basically cheer ramp is really beneficial for Okayu, especially when you're going to be detaching cheers and sending them to the archive from pretty early on. And then a single cheer art for 20 damage. It's pretty standard for those sort of cards that have a cheer ramp option. This card is good. It's pretty good, and definitely worth running in this deck at least. Moving on to our Buzz Holomem, we've got the 240 HP, which is pretty good for a Buzz Holomem, especially a first bloom, and it's got the gift effect. If this card is in the center position, all of your Takane Lui, Okami Mio, Shirakami Fubuki, and Laplace Darkness and Inugami Korone gain 20 damage to their art. So basically, if you have one of those 5 characters in your color position, it's doing an extra 20 damage, but only running Okayu in this deck. We basically run it as a first bloom with 240 HP, so it's not dying. Yes, you run the risk of it being downed and you taking 2 life, but again, we're only running 2 copies of this. You are literally using this as a bloom engine. It does have the advantage of the fact that it's got a 2 cheer attack for 60 damage, which is one of the higher attack ranges. So it does give you an option where you can bloom into this into your center, and then you can basically use the cheers that are attached to it to then go into your second bloom, which is kind of handy. The card's fine. It does get replaced in the next deck list that I'm going to be showing you. It does the job for now. Of course, we have to talk about the second bloom, Nekomata Okayu. 190 HP, pretty standard for a second bloom, a bit on the low end. 180, 190 is the low end for second blooms, I think. The high end, you're looking 220, 230. I think one's even got 240, if I remember correctly. But it's got 2 attack. The first one for 2 cheers does 60 damage with an advantage to white. And then the second attack for 100 damage requires 2 blue and 2 colorless cheer. And you may archive 2 cheers from this Holomem and deal 30 special damage to your opponent's center and their back Holomem. So you're doing 130 damage if you're attacking center, plus an extra 30 to the back row, so 160 damage in total from this art. Yes, it means you have to archive 2 cheer, but that's exactly why we run the first bloom idle Okayu, because you are going to be archiving cheers quite a bit from your Holomems. So running the idle Okayu just gives you that option to get those cheers back and keep up with the pace of the game and make it so that you are not stuck, not being able to do your final attack with the Okayu. With that, we have 30 Holomems, 14 debuts, 12 first and 4 second. Moving on to the supports, of course, that we run 4 copies of the Nodaka. Draw 3 cards, straightforward. We run 2 copies of Manager-chan, letting you shuffle your hand back into your deck as long as you've got 1 card at least in your hand after playing it, and then you get to draw 5 new cards. Very good card just to fix hand state, and it can be a potential +3 if you play it at the right time. We run 2 copies of Penlight. Now, the advantage of running Penlight, because to use Penlight, you have to be able to send a 1 card from your Holo Power to your archive. Because the Oshi's skills are very low cost in comparison to other Oshis, you can get away with using Penlight and using one of your Holo Power to basically gain a cheer ramp. So Penlight works quite well with Okayu, at least in this build anyway, and the build that we go for later, it also works out as a pretty good card. We also run 2 copies of Amazing PC, another limited that you have to detach a cheer from one of your Holomems in order to use it, and then you get to search your deck for a first or second bloom non-buzz. So it means you can't get your Buzz Okayu, that's fine, but it does give you access to your second blooms much easier. Yes, you have to detach a cheer, which you can get back if you've got your idle Okayu, but this is a card that I was umming and ahhing of putting in. I think because of the options available in the deck, you need to run it because it is still a genuinely good card. You may not use it the most often, but there are certain situations where you're struggling to find your second, and this card will find it for you, so it's worth having in there. We also run 2 copies of So That Makes You My Enemy, a very good card to run as a 1 or 2 copy of in your deck. It lets you switch your opponent's center Holomem with one of their back Holomem, which if you are distributing damage throughout the game to the back Holomem's positions because of your first blooms, because of your debut collab, because of your second blooms, it means that you can whittle down one of your opponent's back row Holomems and then use this card to bring it up to the front and guarantee a KO. So it's pretty good. We are also running 4 copies of Dorobo Construction. It is the gravity event of the deck. You cannot use it unless you have 6 or less cards in your hand, excluding this card. and then you get to look at the top 4 cards of your deck, and you get to reveal any number of Okayu, Louis, Mio, Fubuki, Laplace, and Korone from amongst those. Add those to your hand and put the rest at the bottom of your deck. It's the secondary draw option this deck has. It's absolutely worth playing. Yes, you're only going to be hitting Okayus. That's fine. We don't really care. The card is fine. It lets you plus the hand, especially when this deck could run out of hand quite easily. Finally, we run 4 copies of Okanyan. The Holomem this mascot is attached to in the center or collab position takes -10 damage, and also if it's attached to an Okayu, if the ability of the Holomem this mascot is attached to would archive a cheer, you may remove this archive instead of archiving 1 blue cheer. And of course, only 1 mascot can be attached to each of your Holomem. So there are certain situations where you may need to detach a Kanyan instead of detaching a cheer, basically to ensure that you can attack again next turn without too much of problems. So we run 4 copies of this, and also the -10 damage on every instance of damage received by that Holomem in the center or collab is extremely beneficial. We see that effect on Kotori for the Kiara deck, and it's very, very good. Obviously, Kotori is wildly good because it also, every time you increase your bloom level on the Holomem this mascot is attached to, you get to draw a card. This isn't quite as good as Kotori, but it is a very nice card to have. You get 2 copies in 1 deck, so with 2 decks, we do run 4 copies. And with that, we run 20 supports, 16 of those being limited, and 4, only the Okanyan, being non-limited. Of course, you run 20 blue cheers, you only get blue cheers in the Okayu deck, but that is the deck that combines 2 start decks. Moving on to our fully constructed deck, and we change up the Oshi here. We actually go with Kobo. Now, you have 2 options here. You could go Kobo or you could go Suisei. You could go Suisei for the extra damage manipulation, damage output, because you are running blue Holomems, which is pretty good, or you could go Kobo. Now, the reason why I personally chose Kobo is 1, you're going to be detaching cheers, so you can basically activate the Oshi skill for 1 cost, a really cheap Oshi skill. You're not going to be using the SP Oshi skill because you're not running any ID Holomems, but most importantly, Kobo has 6 life, and it is not to be underestimated the importance of having that extra life on your Holomem. It can, in some situations, legitimately just win you the game in the long run because your opponent can't down your Holomems quicker than you can. And if they're running a 5 life Holomem and you're running a 6 life Holomem, as long as you are basically trading when you both take life, you're going to win because you have 1 life remaining and they have none. So I personally like the Kobo engine. The extra 20 damage that you get to deal as well is really nice for only 1 Holo power, and it lets you have access to cards in your main deck that with the Suisei Oshi you couldn't really run because you've got to be wary of your Holo power cost and amounts. Moving into the main deck, we actually start off with Mio, Okayu Mio. She runs 3 copies of her unlimited debut for 90 HP. She has a 10 damage art, which also lets you reattach the cheer from your stage to your Holomem with JP. So that's basically any Holomem in this deck, because Okayu, all the gamers are all JP, which is kind of nice. But yes, you get to reattach 1 cheer from anywhere on your stage to any of your Holomem. It hasn't got to be the one attached to herself, which is kind of neat, which is if you look at Crony from the Promise deck, it has to be from itself to another Promise, where at least this one you can just move cheer around. Kind of neat. It's a really nice card, but the main reason why we run this Mio is because of the first Bloom Idol. 100 HP, sure, but the Bloom effect, grown as an idol, you reveal 1 cheer from your cheer deck with the same color as one of your Holomem with gamers on stage and send it to your Holomem, and then shuffle your cheer deck. So this is basically exactly the same as the Crony line in Promise. It's an on bloom cheer ramp. It's a really, really, really good card. It's really important for Okayu because you are going to be archiving cheers attached to your Holomem as part of the abilities of your arts. It's got a 20 damage art as well. Sure, it's very, very, very rare that you're ever going to attach a cheer to the Mio, so it's unlikely that you'll need to attack with it, especially once it's first bloom. You might attack with a debut, not so much with the first, but you are absolutely running this for that extra cheer generation. Going to Okayu, we of course run 6 copies of the Unlimited, which we spoke about earlier. We run 4 copies of the debut on collab, deal damage to center and backstage. We've already discussed this. It's a very good card. We run 4 copies. And then we go to our first. We run 4 copies of the booster set Nekomata Okayu Buzz. 230 HP, so it's the same as the other one, but the art and the effect are better. Center position only, so if it's in the center position, all of your Nekomata Okayu on stage deal 20 special damage to your opponent's center holomem. So basically, if you're dealing special damage with, say, the Hololive effect Okayu, rather than doing 10 damage to center and 10 damage to backstage, it will do 30 damage to the center and then 10 damage to the back. So an extra 20 damage on all special damage done to the opponent's center holomem can be a matter of getting it down or not. The art itself for free cheer, Poison Cat for 50 damage, and you may archive one blue cheer from this holomem to deal 20 special damage to your opponent's center holomem and one of their backs. So you're doing a 50 ping and then a 20 to center, 20 to a back holomem. So it's a 90 damage swing in total, split between up to 3 holomems, depending on where you attack for your art. This card is really good. It gives you some more options to deal additional special damage, which the other Buzz didn't have, and it actually supports Okayu rather than supporting every other member of Dorobo. So this card is absolutely worth running. And we do run it as 4 copies. We also run 2 copies of the first Bloom Okayu, the one that does the 40 damage, where you can archive a cheer to deal 10 special damage to your opponent's center and back. Again, if you are running this and it goes into your Hololive position, you will do 30 damage to the center, providing you have the Buzz holomem in your center position. It's a good card because of the additional benefit from the gift effect of your first Buzz. We run 3 copies of the Bloom effect Okayu Idol outfit. Again, getting that cheer back from your archive, you're going to be detaching quite a few cheers from your holomems. And again, it's got a 20 damage attack. We've already spoken about this one. 4 copies, of course, of the second Bloom. You have to run 4 copies. You've got 2 copies from each deck. You wham them together, you've got 4 copies. It is your end game, if you will. And again, if you have this in the Hololive position and you have your Buzz in your center, this is going to be doing 50 damage, special damage to the center from the effect of the art, rather than just 30, which again isn't an amount to be underestimated, because again, that extra 20 damage could be the difference between getting that down or not. With that, 30 holomems, 13 debuts, so we're running one less. We are running on the low end of debuts, 13 first and 4 seconds. Moving on to the supports, again, of course, we run 4 copies of the Nodika, we run 3 copies of Manager-chan, 4 copies of normal PC to grab that debut from deck and put it onto your backstage, and then shuffle your deck. It's a very good card, and the reason why this is definitely a 4 of is because there are times when you've got all your Okayu set up, but you've got no Mio, and you need to find that Mio in order to start getting the cheer up going. Normal PC is an absolute 4 of in this deck. We run 2 copies of Penlight, again, because Kobo's Oshi skill only costs 1, and it's very, very rare that you'll be using that 1 at the very beginning of the game. Come your second turn, once you have collab, you'll have 2 holo power, where you can basically keep spamming your range shamanism, and then when you need to, activate your Penlight to get that extra cheer. Again, with Kobo, this card works. If you're running the Suisei Oshi, you probably wouldn't run Penlight, you would run some other thing. We also run 4 copies of Mikorone 24. Again, it's another fantastic draw engine for this deck. Draw 2 cards, roll a die. If it's a 3, 5, or 6, reveal 1 debut from your deck and add it to your hand. If it's a 2 or 4, draw 1 card. If it's a 1, you whiffed, you just get that draw 2 at the beginning. It's an incredible good limited. It is the best card of set 2 in my opinion, especially in terms of staples that can go in any deck. You're running 4 copies of this in this deck because, again, having access to your debuts and a selection of your debuts that you want to use and grab from your deck is really, really important for this build because of that Mio cheer ramp engine. Finally, we run 3 copies of a Kanyan. We've already discussed this card. It's a pretty good card to reduce damage, and especially in this build for the meantime, whilst we are waiting for the set 5 cards, there are situations where you need to be able to detach this to class as your cost as detaching a cheer from your holomem in order to gain the special ability of its art. This card is absolutely worth running in this build. We're running 3 copies. I would consider 4, but space is a thing. You could take out a Manager-chan and run a 4th copy of this. I wouldn't touch any of the holomems. I think they're pretty set. I wouldn't touch the rest of your supports. The only thing that's probably got a bit of wiggle room is either you could drop a Mikorone for a 4th of this, but I would more likely, if you wanted to run a 4 copy of this, drop a Manager-chan. And with that, we have 20 supports, 13 of those being limited, and 7 non-limited, and of course we run 20 blue cheers. You do not need any other color cheer in this deck. And those are the decks on how to improve your Nekomata Okayu start deck. What do you think? And would you change any of the list that I presented to you? Let me know in the comments below. But that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you are new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, please let me know by hitting that like button. Check out other socials, links down in the description. And if you want to support the channel even more, please consider becoming a member and hitting that join button down below. I am starting to prepare some benefits for my members because I appreciate that I'm asking for support. I've got to give you a reason to give that support, right? So if you have any ideas of what sort of things you would like to see as a member of the channel, let me know in the comments below and I will see what I can do for you. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye!